Now, with this, okay, go ahead. Okay. So I'm moving quickly from here to here. That's all I've got time to do is kind of the idea. I wasn't in a mobile base. So once I'm here, because of where I was focused at, being here, right, here. Now, what I have to do is turn directly towards the camera here, right? So, like, a lot of times people like step in and step back. The main thing I want to do is like good connection here to my body and then turn. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be between the legs. And just like when we do the tug of war drill with the belt, right? We see this also on the knee bar that we saw from the pickup defense last class, right? We're gonna turn with that. Now I wanna keep this figure four grip here, and I turn, and this is all, see this, my hip here is gonna be what shears that lock, okay? Now, I'm just bracing here on your thigh, right? Like that, okay? So, what you're doing is you're catching, right? And then I'm like that, okay? Now from there, all you're gonna do is once you have this, is you're gonna turn. When you turn like that, like, so look here, if I'm in a square base here, and I turn, now I'm in like more of my 4-point base. But it's that very offensive slash defensive, like, okay, I'm in defensive posture and I'm executing techniques from my stance, right? So with this, that'd be like on the tug of war drill with the belt, or what you see from the side clinch, is that you have to turn your knee in to maintain base. So that's what you're gonna do here, but it's not just to maintain base, it's also to add the hip to leverage the lock. Look at when I turn on that, like when I got the leg here, when I turn here, my hip's coming up under me all at once, okay? And my foot will be into the mat here, and this will be bracing against the thigh, okay? So let's go ahead and catch the round kick to the body, right? And do it this way. We'll just do the same side. Block, block, and then on that third time, catch it, and we'll do a couple of catches, and then that we'll do, on that third time we'll do turn and take down. If you have everything in order, as soon as you turn, you went down, right? Like it's a whoa, there's no slack there. You turn, you connect them to you, and you turn, they will go down. Okay, so here and good, 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 nice. Yeah, and then grab your own wrist. Okay, good, and let go of that. Let's have figure four grip. Okay, and block and grab again. Good, and it's right there. Good. Now, block, grab, and you're gonna turn your hips straight to the back of the room. Okay, block, grab. Yes, okay. Turn your hips that way now, and brace your knee against my thigh, and then bring your hips into, connect your elbows tight, yes, and then hips forward. Yes. You made a good adjustment. You need to be all the way at the end of the foot, and you kind of pulled that slack out, right? So lay down, please. So you can kind of explore this, and I've heard this talked about, and I read it in a book recently, right? It's a older, like a Gracie submission book, right? But talking about that when you go down on this, it's like this little sequence, like one of the fundamental in history of Jiu-Jitsu self-defense sequences, right? So when they fall down, I can kind of take that slack out a little bit if I need to, right? But if it's your first time seeing it, harder to do all of that on the first try, right? But like here, you're gripping, and we want to here, and look how, I don't want my heel on the mat. What I'm doing is I'm bracing, and I'm turning, and I'm driving, and anchoring to you, right? So I'm connected there, right? So think about it as like you know, sometimes you'll see this shown this way, right? And that'll make you almost turn belly down to preserve, right? But with here, we're just remaining standing, boom. Figure 4 straight ankle lock, okay? Super beginner, even in the sport of jiu-jitsu, the tournaments, that move is legal. All of the other leg locks are not legal for white belts, right? Knee bars, toe holds, heel hooks, you know, and straight ankle lock, good to go, good to go. So, catch it, wrap it, turn. Knee on the thigh, more on the back of my thigh, yes. And turn. When you do that, really drive with your foot on the mat. Hips. Yes. You start dragging me across the floor when you did that. Right? I'm like my hips just subtly shifted. It's like you were more connected to me. So again, just figure 4 lock that again. Okay? So, look, elbows tight to yourself. Yes. Now, everything stays right there. I want you to think about opening your chest and hips and turning that knee. Better. Okay? Let's go again. Hips. Yes. You kind of, like, I felt the pressure, and then you're like, oh, is it here? And then you're like, no, it's not, and then it was. Right? Like, but, you know, I call other black belts out for this because it's funny. And I was about to say it to you, so. But what you were doing out there is you're like, over time, your brain is like, what's going on? Like, he says this and feels this way, but am I doing it? Does it feel that way when I do that? Is it there? Is it there? You don't really have the idea down for this exact sequence, right? Again, it's probably the first time you're seeing this exact one. So that being said, over time, when you become one of these, you gain what all the other black belts call sensitivity, right? It's okay, bro. You'll just get that sensitivity over time. I just recently, like, I've heard 2 other black belts in different parts of the state say that, and I'm just like, that's what they all say, but it's true, okay? Over time, you learn these principles, and you're like, oh, okay, this is the most efficient way to choke this person without expending all of my energy. Like we're talking earlier, like a power meter analogy. Like, hey, if you go to 7 and you can only go to 10, and then what they did is, you know, well, they really turned it on, and you were at 7 and you needed to go up, but you couldn't max them anymore, right? Like you expended so much energy that you couldn't keep your power bar rising, right? So, the great way to think about this is breathing on a technique, right? If I do something like a bridge and roll and I'm like here and I go, I have no air left to continue. And that happens to people every day, right? So I need to slow as possible, exhaling, or just small amounts of air, okay? So everything is about, you know, conserving, preserving for as long as we can, okay? Okay, so figure 4 ankle lock, fundamentals. It's one of the essential techniques everybody should know. In the sport of jiu-jitsu, this ankle lock here we're gonna do today is legal for white belts, right? So if you're doing the class and you're a white belt in jiu-jitsu, you could go compete and use this. But so many people don't train it. There's a stigma with leg locks. We teach fundamental leg locks to everyone. And it gets no more fundamental than this, right? Again, it's an essential technique that everybody that does jiu-jitsu should know, okay? So we saw this a little bit in some previous work we were doing in videos from what we caught a round kick, right? Or we picked up a single leg and we took them down and we had their ankle. And we could finish from standing in a couple of different ways. And we haven't, at this point in the program, gone into standing guard passes or breaks yet. But when we introduce that, we'll bring this back up, okay? Because it comes in there. we're gonna do it from the perspective that we've talked about so far, from the kneeling, guard pass, posture and guard situation, okay? So anytime I open the guard with like a knee in the center or a posture break, either one, I could go for this, okay? So, here, the break that we did last class is getting here, I'm wedging everything in, I widen out, and boom, its guards are broken, okay? Now, from this point, right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up with a knee, and it's just kind of situational on how you set this up, right? We can do it off the posture break, we could do it off the knee and center. Knee and center, we bring this knee up first. The posture break, typically, bring the other knee up first, right? But whichever you choose, like that shelves that leg nicely, right? But this creates an inside wedge where I can kind of fall to the side and catch you here, okay? So we saw in previous classes where we were in this situation, right? So, boom, right there. So whether you get from standing or kneeling, it's fine. Whether it's one knee up or the other, it's fine, right? But it's something that comes up from the guard pass situation, okay? Now, let's talk about two modes of leverage. One is I'm here, right? And let's turn with your head facing that way, please. Okay, good, and just hands down, you just relax. Where I'm gonna grab my lapel, okay? So I just come through and I grab my lapel and I take the slack out. That's the number one thing. You can't be around his calf, you need to slide out and be here, right? Everything's taken out slack-wise. Then I can leverage, okay? So when this is a situation, I can also, instead of the lapel, what if you didn't have a lapel? You could do this figure four, okay? Now, you can go to the bicep. I feel like that kind of lessened my grip here. The wrist feels really good, right? And I saw his hand get ready to tap, so it probably doesn't feel really good for him. But I was like, man, this feels great. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Right? So here, take that slack out. Now the finish on your side is here, okay? And I cannot have my elbow here, I got to tuck it, right? And then it's a forward hip movement for the leverage, okay? So when we talk about our hips kind of pushing into our figure four, or in this instance where I'm grabbing my own lapel, that energy started dragging you towards me. That was happening on the mat when we're doing it from standing, or when you get connection, you just whoosh. So we'll want to be sure and always take that slack out, right? And again, we can do here where we grab the lapel, right? Or we can do like we've seen in previous classes we put out, where you can do a figure four, okay? So one more time, please. And we'll do this. We'll get you to kind of turn diagonally. There you go. Okay, so look, here's posture break, and I'm coming up here, racking that leg and falling back, okay? I'm gonna go over this idea of like, when you fall straight back, they can try to get out in a certain way. We've got a counter that we can do for that, okay? Then like one of the problems will be ensuring that you get the leg wrapped before you get on the side. So be sure we focus on that. So look, whether it's here or whether it's here, my elbow's not on the mat. This is under your hamstring over here. This is on the hip, okay? Take the slack out, ankle lock, okay? So, one more time. From here, the knee in the center break, boom. All right, so look, I'm already thinking about this, okay? Now look, I can fall back and take the slack out. You've got to be able, if you do that, to understand that they are gonna probably come forward. It's not that big of a deal. You just gotta get in here, all right? And again, whether it's here or here, it's fine. Falling back is not wrong, You just have to understand that when I go to fall back here, you may try and come up. I'm gonna wedge with this foot behind your hamstring until I can get here, so that doesn't happen. Boom. Right? So it's kind of back and then to the side. All right? Get in my guard, please. Just do the knee in the center, that same way I was just showing. Okay, so there, get a good posture, wedges, widen out, knee in the middle, guard breaks, good. Bring this knee up, combat base. Nice, yeah, flip the leg. Now, start kind of sliding down the leg as you sit back, block here with the foot in the hamstring, sit down, and then throw your foot in the hip and go to your side. Boom. Okay, yes. Does that feel good? Take all the slack out, connect your elbows. Good. Be on the elbow, kind of collapse it. Yes. Okay, now, you're ready to engage with those hips. Move forward with them. Ah, good. And again, it's our hips. We don't want to have to arch. Ready? Try again. Good. Nice. Okay, now, stay this way. Collapse down. Yeah, try to finish one on the lapel now. Okay? Now, remember that leverage we were discussing the other day that takes the slack out, that bringing your hips are coming forward, but everything comes forward when your hips come forward. Okay, so go. Ah, yes. Okay, so all hips driving into this for the leverage. Okay, you don't even need this anymore, right? Take out a little slack with that, yes, good, and connect that elbow underneath you, really good, like you're pulling it back, yes. Now hips. Ah, see, I felt like once you did that, I felt it a lot more. It curled my toes up, right? That, and a lot of people have the toe taco, right? So you make a little, just like a little taco shape out of their foot, okay? Connect again, hip. Ah, yes, okay? So, go again. On the base, slide back, nice. Foot in the hip. See, wedge here. Instead of in the middle, the hamstring, and then down. In the hip. Good. Okay, take out all the slack. Ah! Oh, serious business. Go ahead and move your hip now. That's good. That's your best one you've ever done. Like I was just like, when I said take the slack out, you're like, okay, I was starting to understand what you mean with that. Great. Now, what's your? Let me just get the lapel on this one. Okay, yeah, that one. Okay, take the slack out. I'm like, oh no, man, this is terrible. I gotta get this off here and start doing this. Okay. Put your hand out there. Go down to both knees. You can leave this foot in the center actually, and just go down to your knees and drive up on your hand. Right. So yes, right. That's helping you posture up, and that's now as you do that, start to engage your hip with that. Ah, terrible. Okay. So watch here. This is just a troubleshoot, because the thing is, as I mentioned, when I start going back first, and you feel this, like, okay, I've got taking some slack out with that, I got some connection, you're gonna start coming forward. When you feel that stops you from coming forward, a lot of people push it down. Okay, now scoot over. That's fine. Here. Okay, so whether it's the figure 4 or the lapel, boom. Okay, so from just a seated position, get your lapel. Good. And really good connection. Take that elbow back. Good. All right, now start to fall back into the side. Good. And posture up. Good. Not a big deal if this comes out, but I was leaving it in the center. Okay? Not a big deal. If you come all the way out, then it's like the knee bar. Okay? And we mentioned, and it's hard really, but like a lot of times the leverage, it's hard for the person that you're doing it to. Like on the standing version of this, it makes them want to rotate belly down, but they really can't. When you step through the guard. Yeah. Okay. So we need to look at one other observation with this, and we'll have seen everything there is to teach pretty much. Again, this will come up a little bit with some of the standing guard stuff. Standing guard breaks, a sweep we'll introduce later, the double ankle sweep. It kind of is like this little ecosystem of a few of the fundamental techniques we teach to everyone, where this becomes applicable again. And it's gonna make a lot of sense when it comes up, all right? Because we've done this, but there is this like one other little blip on the straight ankle lock, and you know, you take this course, you get a fundamental dose of straight ankles. I mean, it's great. Whereas most people in Jiu-Jitsu academies don't even do this technique. Okay. We used to be that Jiu-Jitsu academy. Okay, so I'll be in your guard real quick. So this one, like I said a second ago, you know, if I bring the foot all the way through, it's sort of rotating to more of a knee bar situation. But you can definitely turn somebody belly down for the ankle lock there. But we do that on the knee bar, okay? So here, we're in this combat base, we broke his guard, right? And we're wanting to pursue this ankle lock, whether it's figure four or whether it's here, okay? So what I want you to think about is that same idea that we just mentioned on the knee bar, right? Or what we just did off the defense. This is all the same idea, except a second ago we were using it defensively. I'm gonna turn you towards a belly down situation, all right? But I've gotta post my hands to get there, okay? Can you push me over? No. Yeah. All right? So I mentioned this earlier, we have to find and maintain base here, right? If you can just push me over, I might get out at the same time, right? I might lose my grip, I might let go of my lapel, or figure four, or whatever, right? So I'm gonna put my hand here. Base, rotate, okay? So I'm here. It looks like I might even be guard passing. Slide there. Boom. Okay, so let's see that with you in my guard. Okay, and just start with the combat base. So we assume we already got there. Okay, so yeah, you can do figure four or you can do either one, it doesn't matter. Oh, actually, it will matter on this one. Grab your lapel, because we need that hand to base. Okay, so I've seen people drop into this, like credible sources, from standing with the figure four, but there's a lot of, like, the base is different when you do that, okay? Here you're on one knee, we need this hand right here. Good, now, slide this knee of yours in the crook of my knee. Sorry, and then put the other leg up. Good. All right, now start trying to take weight off that hand. Can you take weight off that hand? See, find a good base. So if I push you, that doesn't happen. There you go. Okay, don't worry about my knee. Take a little slack out of the lock. Yes, that. Okay, this foot I feel like needs to be a little more around this area. Good. Good, now sit back. Finish it. Good, okay? That finding the base is important. And it's just like, oh, how do I find base here? I've never been, you know, probably haven't been there a whole, okay? Back to combat base. Let's get there again. Okay, yeah, slack out of the lock, finish there, post the hand. Right, now, go in there. Right in this, you don't need to turn that much. Right here. Good. Widen this knee out a little bit. Here, good. Posture up. Okay, let's check your base real quick. I can't get out. Finish it. Good. And just, it's that same hip. One more time. Bring the hip under you a little bit more, okay? Just a little more leverage. Think about it, it's like you're trying to posture up. You're trying to stand up straight, right? And if you were doing that, like you're gonna lead to your, boom, I'm gonna get good posture here. All right, so hand on the mat, base. Good, engage that hip. Hold on, go back. It hurt, but posture up.
and bring the hip forward. Forward. Ah, there you go. It's different from this posture, right? And like you were getting some bit, like, but a lot of times the slack remove will get somebody to kind of, oh yeah, I felt that, right? And it's like, yeah, okay. They kept going, it's like I'm communicating with you, it's good. But in a competition or a adrenalized situation, when there's maybe no taps, I got to break your ankle, so, but really engage that hip coming up. See how your back's rounded? Yeah. Try and make it straight. Terrible. Good. Okay. So that's kind of three ways that finished on our side from a guard pass situation. We are turning belly down when you try and defend me falling back into the side, right? And then that is technically a belly down, right? Like when you finish, you're kind of in this posture, your belly's down, and you're kind of coming up into a posture they tap before that happens, right? They typically call that a belly down because it turns the partner belly down, but the leverage of how you're turning away is like that. Just because my knee is pinned, I can't really rotate out. It's sort of a similar idea, but you're rotating in that way. And like one time, earlier we got into it and it was full belly down. So see some different perspectives there, and that's straight ankle fundamentals.